what happens when you get that little spark of inspiration to do something? To do something you haven't done before? Do you just get out there and start doing it? Or do you start to think of all the possibilities of what could happen? All the possibilities of what could go wrong? That's something that I think a lot of us maybe get stuck in. We'll start to do it, and then the moment we start to face some roadblocks or things start to get in our way, we start to backpedal, we start to slow down, we start to say, wait a minute, maybe I didn't hear from God. Maybe this isn't a divinely inspired idea. Maybe this isn't working. And it's just like how it is. Whenever you have an intention to do something, you set out with this intent, there's always going to be some kind of disruption that follows. It's almost just the way it is. So just recognize that when you get a plan and you set out to do something, something is always going to come up. That doesn't mean that it wasn't divinely inspired or that it's not going to work. Sometimes it's that little bit of friction that we need to grow, to build ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, to get the resolve. And sometimes this is like a testing ground. Sometimes I think maybe God is kind of testing us to see, are we really going to follow through when things get hard? You know, nothing good happens in the comfort zone. You've probably heard that saying before. So how much level of uncomfortability is it going to take you for it to take you out of what you had planned to do? Is there things that you've attempted to do in your life and you said, oh, it's just too hard. I can't do it. It's just too hard. So what is it going to take? What is it going to take? What's the amount of difficulties or roadblocks in your way that it's going to take for you to say no? How important is it for you? You know, some things are more important to others than it is to you. And, you know, you can see that in your friend circle. I have friends that spend 2 hours a day at the gym. To me, it's not worth it to have a supermodel body. But then I have other friends that the amount of time that they spend doing, you know, downtime is more important to them. Their downtime, their time hanging out with their friends holds a very high priority to them because they need those kind of connections. Whereas I don't need as many of those connections outside of work. I feel like I get so many connections while I'm at work and wonderful conversations that I don't need that as much. So it really depends on where you are in life and what you're trying to accomplish. We can't compare ourselves to others and their needs versus our needs. But also I want to encourage you that when you start to come up against hard things, what is your resolve? What is it going to take for you to quit? But also start to think, is this just a testing ground? Is God just giving me a test so he can see how committed I am to this thing? And we also have to remember that we have an enemy. We have the devil who sometimes tries to thwart our plans to make it not happen. How much time is it going to take for you to keep praying and pressing on? There was a time in the Bible, and I don't remember, it was in the Old Testament, I'm not exactly sure who was the one praying, but he prayed for this certain thing to happen. And then it didn't happen, and finally, when the answer came, they said, I think it was an angel or something, they said, God heard you and immediately sent us to answer your prayer, but the principalities, the powers of the air, you know, like the dark side, fought against us for 21 days before we could get the answer to you. So keep this in mind, that when you need help, when you pray a prayer and it seems like it's not coming, God may have sent the angel to come help you right then, right there. But there's a battle going on in the heavenly realm that you can't see. It's not that God didn't hear you. There's a scripture in the Old Testament that talks about how God hears you even before you finish praying. So don't give up and don't give in, because the answer might be on its way to you right now. So stay strong, keep the faith, don't give up, do everything you know how to do in the natural, and when you can't do anything else, keep praying and keep believing. Have the faith that the answer is going to come at the exact perfect time. This happened, I'll give you a real life example. I was supposed to go speak at this certain event, and it didn't happen. I was really bummed out. I'm like, they said they were going to call me to speak in February, and they never called me to speak. And I just felt like my human nature, my fleshly nature, wanted to like call them like, hey, you said I was going to come speak in February. What happened? How come you haven't called? But I just felt this sense, this urge, this gut feeling to like not say anything. Don't try to pursue it. It'll come around when the time is right. And then I took a new course. In speaking, and I learned some different new stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why I didn't get called in February to speak. The new information I got on how to be a great speaker, I now have more information. I'm now more equipped to do my presentation in a better way. And now I can look back at it and go, wow, I'm so glad that they didn't call me to speak when they said they would. So realize that everything is working out for your good, right? Romans 8:28, God works all things together for our good, for those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. So remember that when things aren't happening on your timetable, it may be a blessing in disguise. There may be different parts of the puzzle that you didn't know or you weren't clear on, and now you're entering into it at a later time, equipped with more information. Or maybe the people you were supposed to speak to in that audience, or whatever the thing is that you're going after, they wouldn't have been there had you done it sooner. So really just exhale, just release the expectations of what it's supposed to look like, when it's supposed to look like. Why isn't it coming right now? Why am I not getting my answer now? This is so hard. How come this isn't? Stop questioning, keep staying in faith, and really have faith to believe that when the time is right, it's going to happen for you. If you've prayed and you've stayed in faith, God is in the midst. He's in the background. You can't see the strings he's pulling right now to smooth everything out, get the right people there at the right time who are going to have the right attitude to receive what you have or what you're going to put out for them. So trust and obey, right? Keep the faith, trust and obey, and don't give up when it gets hard. As the saying goes, the going gets tough, but the tough get going. Live true, love hard, shine bright.